New York was made of water and sirens that night. Rain sheeted off steel, like the city was trying to rinse itself of its sins. Emily Rivera hugged her thrift store blazer tighter and sprinted to the curb, the rideshare icon pulsing on her cracked screen like a stubborn heartbeat. The app said, "Black sedan, plate KNY 9412, 2 minutes." Her phone, gasping at 1%, chose that moment to die with a sighing blink. "Seriously?" She smacked it, gentle, apologetic, as if she'd offended it, and glanced down the slick river of headlights. A black sedan slid to the curb, sleek, quiet, the kind of car that wore the night like a pressed suit. The license plate blurred behind rain, but in the stutter of red brake lights, it looked right enough. She yanked the back door handle, flopped into warm leather, and blurted, "Hi, sorry, we gotta go. 48th and 11th. I cannot be late again. I'm 90 seconds from unemployment and ramen without the flavor packet." The driver didn't move. He sat very still, hands at 10 and 2, white cuff, dark sleeve, a face like a sculpture someone had actually finished, clean edges, something cold in the bones. He turned just enough that she saw his eyes, pale gray, clear as winter glass, and somehow amused. "This is not a ride share," he said, voice low, velvet over gravel. "Oh." Emily blinked, then pointed through the rain. "Okay, but could it be? Just spiritually?" "I can Venmo. I'll Venmo with interest, please." He should have thrown her out. He should have smirked and said something cruel, the way expensive men often did to girls who didn't belong in expensive cars. Instead, he flicked his gaze to the curb, where 2 men in dark coats stood under umbrellas like punctuation marks, waiting. One of them murmured, "Boss?" The man in the driver's seat, not a driver at all, lifted 2 fingers. "Wait." Emily swallowed. "You're not an Uber?" "No." He unlocked the doors anyway. The car glided into traffic with the confident hush of money well spent. "Seatbelt." She clicked it, heart thudding against the nylon. "Thank you. Seriously. I have an interview. It's at this logistics firm on the west side. It's not much, but it's not nothing. And I'm late because my neighbor's radiator exploded like a dragon, and my umbrella quit, and my phone's suicidal. I'm Emily, by the way, which, wow, you didn't ask. Sorry. Do you have a name, or do I keep calling you not Uber?" He looked at the road like it owed him rent. "Logan." "Logan." She tried it out. Too soft for his jawline, too gentle for that throat. "You look more like a Roman statue who learned about taxes." A sound, almost a laugh, lived and died at the corner of his mouth. The wipers kept their metronome. "The light's going to trap us on 10th, she said, pointing. "Take 9th, cut across on 44th. The loading dock will be empty." "You know the docks? I know where the city hides its knots." He took 9th. The rain thickened. Neon smeared like bruises on glass. Emily rubbed a drop from her lash and tried not to breathe in the smell of the car. Leather, cedar, a whisper of something citrus and dangerous. Her stomach growled loud enough to embarrass echoes. She hadn't eaten since $1 coffee and faith. "Sorry," she muttered. "I'll pay you back. Not for the growl, for the ride. And I'll leave a 5-star review in my heart." "Don't," he said. "Don't." "What?" "Apologize for being human." That jolted her more than the pothole. She looked at him again, at the stillness he wore like armor. He was the kind of man other men made space for without thinking. The kind of man you noticed even if you didn't want to. They slid to the curb at 48th and 11th. Emily fumbled with the buckle, rain already needling the window. "Thank you," she said, hand on the door. "I mean it. I hope your night is whatever you want it to be." He cut his gaze toward her for the second time. "You'll be late." "I'm always late until I'm not." She pushed the door open, and the sidewalk muttered with camera shutters. Not paparazzi, not exactly. 2 men across the street stood under the black awning of a closed bar, the glow of a phone screen warping their faces ghost blue. One lifted the device. Click. Logan didn't move. But the air inside the car changed, tight as a choke chain. The rear door opened from the outside. One of the umbrella men leaned in, Rain pinning his shoulders with diamonds. "Boss," he said to Logan, not to her, eyes sliding over Emily like a problem. "We're done," Logan said. Emily was already half out, half in. Done is great. She slipped onto slick cement, heels skittering, blazer already a damp rag. "Thank you, Logan, not Uber." She jogged to the revolving door and let the building swallow her heartbeat. Fluorescent light transformed her into a different animal. Damp hair, wide eyes, mascara threading. The receptionist clocked her, then clocked the car still idling outside, black and quiet and predatory. "You're late," the receptionist said without judgment. "I was rescued by a man with opinions about seatbelts," Emily panted. "Does that count?" Inside the elevator, she watched Logan's sedan through a watery view of the street. For a moment, he didn't leave. For a moment, she thought he'd look up. He didn't. The sedan peeled into traffic and vanished like a rumor. On the 23rd floor, a woman with a tight bun and tighter smile handed Emily a clipboard. "Rivera, you're up second. You brought a portfolio?" Emily lifted the soaked tote, tried to square her shoulders, and reminded herself she'd survived worse things than rain and strangers with winter eyes. She sat, filled out forms, lied about how calmly she slept, and made herself breathe. By the time her name was called, her clothes had dried into the memory of a storm. She stood, palms flat against the portfolio, mouth rehearsing the sentence she'd prepared for days. "I am not the shiniest resume you'll see, but I see what other people miss." A door opened. Emily stepped into a conference room that smelled like coffee and fresh carpet. The panel, 3 men, 1 woman, looked up with neutral hunger. "Ms. Rivera," said the one in the gray suit, glancing at her file. "You worked nights at a diner on 52nd. You coordinated deliveries when the manager quit." "I learned how to fix printers with a spoon," she said before she could stop herself, "and how to keep customers from punching each other when the game went into overtime." The woman's mouth twitched. The gray suit leaned back. "We handle import logistics for boutique retailers. It's not glamorous." "Neither is mopping up 10 gallons of marinara," Emily said, "but it teaches you about volume." A chuckle. A question about software. A question about ambiguity tolerance. Another about late hours. She answered like a person using every rung of a ladder while the building shook. Then the glass door hissed open again. He didn't belong here, and the room knew it. The temperature shifted. Air learned manners. Logan Moretti walked in without apology, rain gone from his shoulders, gray eyes dry as a verdict. He didn't look at her first. He looked at the panel, and the panel looked at the floor. "Apologies," the gray suit stammered. "We weren't expecting." "You never do," Logan said, and now he looked at Emily. Not a smile. Not a smile. A recognition. "Ms. Rivera." Her mouth made a choice before her brain caught up. "Seatbelts save lives." Something like lightning ghosted across his face. The woman on the panel found her voice. "Mr. Moretti, we're in the middle of interviews." He took a step closer to Emily, not close enough to touch, close enough that his cologne lifted old memories of orange peels and danger. "We're always in the middle of something," he said softly. "Aren't we?" "Do you too?" the gray suit tried. "I got in the wrong car," Emily said quickly. He was kind. Logan's mouth curved. "I was convenient." It was a duel no one else could see, fought with micro-expressions and the knowledge that he had watched her choose fight over shame in the space of a curb. He should have left. He didn't. "Hire her," he said to the panel, as if ordering lunch. "If you don't, I will." Silence chewed the room. The woman arched a brow. "You will... what? Bring her into your portfolio company? One of your... restaurants?" The word she didn't say floated between them. "Fronts." Logan didn't blink. "I will make sure her resume is not wasted." Emily felt the ground tilt. The way it does when you realize the bridge you're crossing belongs to someone who doesn't need tolls. She could tell him to back off. She could reject the shadow of his influence. She could. Ms. Rivera, the gray suit said, slicking a smile over fear. We'll be in touch. Her interview ended without ending. Logan held the door open. She stepped past him, grateful and furious at having to feel both. In the hall, he didn't crowd her. You don't get to do that, she said, voice low. Collect people like coins. He almost smiled. I don't collect. I notice. Same difference, she shot back. But then, softer, because he had noticed her when the world usually didn't. Thank you for the ride. He inclined his head like a knight who'd forgotten the story he was in. You gave the directions. Right place, wrong car, she said. Or right car, wrong story. He glanced toward the elevator, the lenses of the ceiling cameras, the wet city beyond. Cameras saw you get in with me. Her throat dried. And some eyes don't forget a face. He slid a card from his pocket. Nothing printed on it but a number and a small embossed crescent. No name. If anyone asks for you in ways that don't feel like questions, call. I don't need protection. No, he said, not patronizing, just true. You need time. He let the card rest on the table, didn't force it into her hand. And luck. I make my own. That's why you're interesting. He turned to leave, then paused at the door with that winter glance. Seatbelts, Ms. Rivera. The door side shut behind him. Emily stared at the card like it might be a trap or a parachute or both. Somewhere below them, rain argued with the city. She slipped the card into the safest pocket she owned, the one over her heart. By the time she hit the sidewalk again, the night had thinned to a slick hum. A black sedan idled across the avenue. Not his, just another predator in chrome. She pulled her soaked blazer tighter and laughed once, not unkindly, at the absurdity of it all. She did not see the man under the bar awning lift his phone again for a second photo, or the text he sent with it. Got her, with him. Nor did she see the reply arrive in a different part of the city, where a heavier man in a three-piece suit smiled with only half his mouth and typed back, Perfect. Tell our friends she's the soft place to aim. Emily turned the corner, pocket warm with an unmarked card, backbone humming with a feeling she had no name for yet. Somewhere in the rain-washed grid, a wolf had learned her name. Somewhere else, a hunt was being planned by men who thought she was leverage. She'd learn soon enough that leverage is only power if the person you grab doesn't know how to use their own weight. And she'd learn it under fire. The storm had passed, but New York never dried completely. By the next morning, puddles clung to the curbs like secrets too heavy to lift. Emily Rivera walked the same stretch of sidewalk that had betrayed her the night before, clutching a borrowed umbrella, a coffee that was mostly foam, and a head full of questions she had no business asking. Was it possible to meet a man twice and feel like you'd already stepped into the middle of his story? Her new job, if it even counted as new yet, felt fragile, a house of cards propped up by chance. The HR rep had stammered through her onboarding, clearly unsure whether Emily's sudden hire was a decision made by the company or by the phantom name whispered in the hallways, Logan Moretti. By noon, she'd learned two things. The office coffee was a crime, and her boss's name opened doors like a keycard dipped in fear. Still, Emily kept her head down, buried in spreadsheets and intake forms, pretending not to notice the curious glances. Every now and then she caught someone whispering, not cruelly, but with that awe people reserved for tall tales. That's her, the girl from the car. She ignored them until her desk phone buzzed. Unknown extension. Miss Rivera, conference room B. 5 minutes. The line went dead. Emily's pulse did a weird dance between dread and curiosity. She smoothed her skirt, squared her shoulders, and walked toward the glass conference room, pretending she wasn't shaking. Inside waited Logan. No suit jacket today. Just a black dress shirt, sleeves rolled, revealing forearms dusted with hair and muscle. His gray eyes flicked up, unreadable as always. Miss Rivera, he greeted. Sit. She did, clutching her notebook like armor. If this is about last night, it's not. His tone cut clean. It's about tonight. Tonight? He leaned back, folding his hands. I need an alibi. She blinked. What? Presence, he corrected, voice smooth but heavy. Someone visible, approachable, unthreatening. Emily's mouth opened. "You're describing a golden retriever." He almost smiled. "Close. You." She frowned. "Let me guess. You're going somewhere you shouldn't, meeting someone you don't trust, and you need a human shield with good posture." Logan studied her. "You're quick. And you're vague." He slid a black envelope across the table, embossed, heavy. The Hudson Royale. Charity Gala. Black tie. "You'll be my guest," he said simply. "Guest?" she echoed. "I just started here. People still think I'm the intern who brought muffins. All the better. They'll underestimate you." Emily stared at the envelope, then at him. "Why me? You have 100 people who'd kill to be seen at your side." "That's the problem," he said quietly. "They'd kill." Her breath caught. Logan stood, buttoning his cuff. 7 p.m. sharp. Wear something dark, elegant, and don't ask questions you don't want answered. He moved toward the door, then paused, glancing back. "Oh, and Miss Rivera." "Yes?" He met her gaze with that storm-gray calm. "When you walk in with me tonight, everyone in that room will want to know who you are. Don't let them decide the answer." The door closed softly behind him, leaving Emily with a chill that had nothing to do with the air conditioning. That evening, her reflection stared back from the mirror. 1 part nerves, 2 parts borrowed confidence. The black velvet dress had been tucked in the back of her closet, bought once for a cousin's wedding she'd never attended. Its neckline framed her collarbones like a quiet dare. She twisted her hair up, added small earrings, and whispered to the mirror, "You're not the help. You're the storm." The Hudson Royale towered above the East River, its windows glowing gold against the dark. The doorman opened the car door before she could reach for the handle. She stepped onto marble like it might crack. And there he was. Logan Moretti, in a charcoal tuxedo, posture sharp enough to slice. When he saw her, something softened. Not much, but enough. "You clean up well," Emily said before she could stop herself. "So do you," he replied, offering his arm. "Let's try to survive this." The ballroom shimmered, chandeliers dripping light, strings of laughter weaving through the murmur of money. Emily felt the weight of eyes like flashbulbs. Whispers traveled faster than champagne bubbles. "Who's she?" "Not one of ours. She doesn't look like a debutante." Good, Emily thought. I'm not. Logan guided her through the crowd with a subtle possessiveness. Not ownership, but protection. Every few feet, someone stopped him. Men with cigars, women with pearls, politicians with handshakes too rehearsed. He greeted each with polite detachment, introducing Emily as Miss Rivera, a consultant on one of our community projects. Each time, her smile tightened. Consultant, sure, on chaos. Midway through the night, as waiters passed trays of crystal glasses, Logan's expression shifted. A single glance toward the mezzanine, so brief most would have missed it. But Emily followed his eyes, to a man in a cream suit, too polished, too still, watching them with a hunter's patience. "Friend of yours?" she asked under her breath. "Something like that." "Do I need to smile or run?" "Neither," Logan murmured. "Just dance." "What? Dance?" He offered his hand. "Now? You hate attention. That's why we move. They can't corner us if we're in motion." He led her onto the dance floor, hand firm at her back. The orchestra shifted into a low, sultry number. Emily stumbled once before finding his rhythm. He moved like someone trained to make violence look graceful. "You're using me as cover," she whispered. "You're using me for free champagne," he countered. She smirked. "Touché." The room spun slow around them. Her heartbeat synced to the strings. For a moment, between glances, between steps, the world narrowed to his hand at her waist and the quiet question behind his gaze. "Do you trust me yet?" A camera flash shattered the illusion. Logan's jaw tensed. Time to go. He escorted her off the floor, down a hallway perfumed with lilies and secrets. At the end, a side door opened onto a private balcony overlooking the city. Rain clouds threatened again, but for now the skyline gleamed like glass jewelry. "What was that about?" Emily asked. "Someone in that room wasn't supposed to be there," he said. Someone I haven't seen in a long time. The man in cream. He nodded once. He works for people who prefer whispers to wars. They'll dig into every face I'm seen with. Yours included. Her stomach tightened. So I'm bait? Your balance. Balance? If they see me with a woman who doesn't flinch, who doesn't belong, they second-guess their leverage. Emily crossed her arms. You're saying I'm unpredictable, unpolished, a wild card. His lips twitched. A storm. The word echoed something she'd said to her mirror, and for the first time she wondered if he'd somehow heard it. Next time, she said quietly, maybe ask before you draft me into your strategy. Logan studied her, then nodded. Fair. They stood in silence. The city exhaled below them, horns and whispers folding into the wind. For a heartbeat, he seemed ready to say something else, something real. But the balcony door opened. One of his men appeared, face pale. Boss, we've got a problem. Logan's demeanor shifted, the quiet wolf slipping back into command. Speak. The car. Someone slashed the rear tire. Emily blinked. Seriously? Who does that at a charity gala? People who don't believe in charity, Logan said darkly. He turned to her. You'll take the second vehicle with Tia. Who's Tia? Driver, hacker, cousin. Don't ask how those overlap. He pressed a small device into her palm, a sleek key fob with a single red button. If something feels wrong, press once. If it gets worse, twice. Emily stared at it. And if it gets really bad? Don't wait for a third. Before she could answer, voices echoed from the corridor, too loud, too sharp, approaching fast. Logan's men straightened, hands instinctively near their jackets. He glanced back at her, eyes hard. Go, now. She hesitated. What about you? I'm the reason they came. Emily wanted to argue, but the tone in his voice wasn't one she could fight. It was carved from decades of command. She nodded once, slipped through the side exit, and followed a narrow stairwell to the service lot. Tia waited beside a black SUV, chewing gum, eyeliner sharp enough to kill. You must be the new chaos, she said, unlocking the door. Depends who's asking. Someone who cleans up Moretti messes. Buckle up. As the SUV rolled into the night, Emily looked back at the glowing tower shrinking in the rear view. Somewhere inside, Logan was facing the storm she'd just escaped. And for reasons she couldn't explain, her hands trembled, not from fear, but from the realization that the wrong car had carried her straight into a war she wasn't sure she wanted to leave. The next morning, Emily wakes to find her name mentioned in an encrypted message intercepted by Tia, a message sent between rival crews. But what's worse isn't what they wrote. It's who signed it. R. Morning broke like a hangover, gray light, cold coffee, and a city pretending nothing had happened. Emily Rivera stared at her reflection in the elevator's mirrored walls and almost didn't recognize the woman looking back. Same tired eyes, same scuffed heels. But there was something different now, something taut beneath the surface. Maybe it was the memory of sirens echoing across the Hudson, or the sound of Logan's voice, low and certain, saying go. Now. She'd barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw flashes. The man in the cream suit, the hiss of tires against wet asphalt, the cold precision in Logan's gaze as he pivoted from calm to command. When the elevator doors opened, the office felt too bright, too normal. A lie painted in beige walls and burnt coffee. Rachel, loud, loyal, and far too observant, popped up from her desk the second Emily walked in. Well, if it isn't the mysterious +1 from last night's gossip column. Emily froze mid-step. Excuse me? Rachel spun her tablet around. Page 6, baby. Mysterious brunette seen with reclusive mogul Logan Moretti at charity gala. That's you, right? Emily squinted. The photo was grainy, but unmistakable. Her, laughing mid-spin, Logan's hand steady at her waist. The headline glimmered like a curse. Fantastic, Emily muttered. I've been here a week and I'm already clickbait. Clickbait with good hair, Rachel said, sipping her coffee. You gonna explain how a logistics assistant ends up on the arm of a billionaire who could buy the building? Emily shrugged, forcing casual. He needed company. I was convenient. Rachel arched a brow. Convenient, huh? Sure. That's what they call chemistry now. Before Emily could answer, the phone on her desk rang. A sharp, clipped sound that sliced through the chatter. She lifted the receiver. Emily Rivera. My office. 10 minutes. Then silence. Logan never wasted words. Emily hung up, heart drumming. Rachel leaned over the cubicle wall. Oof, that's the principal's office tone. Should I text you an emergency excuse? I'll be fine, Emily said, though her palms disagreed. Logan's office sat at the far end of the top floor, a world apart from the chatter and caffeine below. The hallway leading to it was silent, lined with framed black and white photos of ships and skylines, power disguised as art. When Emily stepped inside, he was standing by the window, jacket off, tie loosened, sleeves rolled. Morning light cut across his shoulders, painting half his face in shadow. Close the door, he said. She did. For a moment, neither spoke. He was reading something on his tablet, eyes narrowed, not in anger, but calculation. Finally, he set it down. You handled yourself well last night. Emily blinked. That sounded dangerously close to a compliment. It was an observation. I'll take it. He studied her, the way one studies a chessboard mid-match. You noticed the man in the cream suit. You mean the one watching us like we owed him rent? Hard to miss. His name is Matteo Vitale. He runs operations for the Cavallo family. The Cavallos, Emily repeated. You mean? Yes. He cut her off, voice clipped. A rival outfit, old money, old grudges. And they're watching you. They're watching everything, he said, then paused. Including you now. A chill crawled up her spine. Because I danced with you. Because you walked into a war. Emily swallowed. And what happens when they realize I'm just me? They'll think you're bait. I'm not bait. No, he said softly. You're leverage. And leverage is only useful if it doesn't break. Her pulse thudded. You brought me there knowing they'd see. I brought you because they wouldn't know what to make of you. He took a step closer. Because unpredictability is power. She shook her head. You could have warned me. I did. Don't ask questions you don't want answered isn't a warning. It's a riddle. Logan's lips twitched, almost a smirk. You solved it. Emily exhaled, rubbing her temple. You're impossible. So they tell me. He turned, grabbed a thin black folder from his desk, and handed it to her. Your next assignment. She frowned. Assignment? I thought I was a temp. Temporary doesn't mean disposable. Emily flipped the folder open. Inside, floor plans, maintenance schedules, and a stack of inventory forms. What is this? A test, he said simply. You'll oversee a full inspection of our riverfront facility. I want everything checked. Lights, locks, paperwork. If there's a leak, I want to know where it's coming from. She blinked. You're putting me in charge of a warehouse? I don't even have a badge that works in the stairwell. You'll have clearance, and you're the only one in this office not tied to old loyalties. Emily arched a brow. Translation, you don't trust anyone. He didn't deny it. I trust what I can verify. You're new, clean, unaligned. And disposable if I screw up? He met her eyes, steady. Indispensable if you don't. She stared at him, trying to read the space between his words. That narrow divide where warning blurred into faith. When do I start? Now. The riverfront warehouse sat at the edge of Brooklyn's industrial district, a stretch of rusted docks and graffiti that time had forgotten. Emily arrived just after noon, escorted by a woman with a shaved head and an accent that could sharpen glass. Name's Ava, the woman said. You're the boss's pick? Apparently. Ava smirked. He doesn't pick light. Stay close. Inside, the air smelled of sawdust and secrets. Workers moved crates, forklifts hummed, clipboards clacked. Emily scanned the floor, flipping through her checklist. Lighting, temperature control, exit routes, inventory verification. Mundane, ordinary, exactly what made her suspicious. Halfway through, a shipment manifest caught her eye. Identical entries repeated 3 times, same weight, Same ID, different delivery routes. Hey, Ava, Emily called. Why does Crate 5A show up on 3 manifests? Ava glanced over, brow furrowing. It shouldn't. Someone's double counting, or hiding duplicates. You think it's theft? Emily shook her head. No, it's camouflage. They're moving something under a name that looks legitimate. Ava's eyes darkened. You've done this before. Not like this, Emily admitted. But chaos is the same in every language. She snapped a photo on her phone and tucked it into her folder. The numbers didn't lie, but they whispered, and the whisper had a name. R. That evening, Emily dropped the folder on Logan's desk. Found your leak? He flipped through the pages, scanning the highlighted rows. You're sure? Positive. Someone's duplicating manifests to cover unaccounted shipments. Destination: Baltimore, under code R, no company listed. Logan's expression didn't change, but his knuckles whitened against the folder. You know who that is, Emily said. He closed the file. Not yet. She crossed her arms. You're lying. His gaze flicked to her, sharp, careful. Of what? The truth? He stood, slow and deliberate. You don't understand what that initial means. Then explain it. A long silence. Then softly, it's someone I thought was gone. Her breath caught. An enemy? He shook his head. Worse, a ghost. Before she could ask, his phone buzzed. He glanced down, jaw tightening. We're done here. Emily hesitated. Logan, go home, Miss Rivera. There it was again. The distance, the armor. She turned toward the door, frustration simmering. You're not the only one who's been haunted, you know. He looked up. What does that mean? She paused, hand on the handle. It means you're not the only one with ghosts. She left before he could ask more. That night in her small apartment, Emily spread the documents across her kitchen table. The code, the manifests, the triple entries, they formed a pattern too deliberate to ignore. She traced her finger along the scrawled signature at the bottom of one page. The initial was faint, smudged, but familiar in a way that twisted her stomach. R. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. R. We need to talk. It's about them. Her throat went dry. She typed back before she could stop herself. E. Who is this? 3 dots blinked, then vanished. The message disappeared. Emily stared at the empty screen, pulse hammering. Whoever R was, they weren't a stranger. And if Logan was right, they weren't a friend either. She looked at the embossed card still tucked in her wallet, the one Logan had given her that first night, with the single crescent and no name. Her finger hovered over the number. If she called, she'd cross a line she couldn't uncross. If she didn't, she might never know what war she'd just stepped into. Outside, thunder rolled across the city again. Emily took a breath, pressed call, and waited. The line clicked once. I was wondering when you'd stop pretending, said a voice she hadn't heard in years, calm, familiar, and full of regret. She froze. Ryan? We need to meet, before he finds out. Her hand trembled. Before who finds out? But the line was already dead. She stared at her reflection in the window, rain streaking the glass like fingerprints. Whatever storm she'd been pulled into, it wasn't random. It was personal. And the name behind R, the man reaching out from the shadows, wasn't just part of Logan's past. He was part of hers. The next evening, a sudden attack on the street forces Logan and Emily into a safe house. But when the past catches up, protection looks a lot like captivity. And every truth comes with a cost. The city didn't sleep that night, and neither did Emily Rivera. She sat by her window, watching the streetlights flicker like warnings in Morse code. The rain had stopped, but puddles still mirrored the restless hum of New York traffic. On the table beside her, the black folder lay open. Manifests, ledgers, and that haunting initial, R. Ryan. Her ex, her mistake, her warning. He'd vanished 2 years ago, leaving only half-truths and an apology that didn't make sense until now. We need to meet, Before he finds out. Before who found out? Logan? The Cavallos? Or something worse? Emily pressed her fingers to her temples. Every direction led back to the same place. A war she didn't understand, and a man she was starting to care about against every reasonable instinct. A knock at the door shattered her thoughts. Sharp. Urgent. She froze. Midnight. Too late for neighbors. Too early for news. Emily? Her chest loosened just enough to let her breathe. That voice, low, grounded, dangerous in its calm. Logan. She crossed the small apartment and opened the door. He stood there, collar damp from the mist, expression carved from steel. "We need to move," he said. Emily blinked. "Move? As in now." He stepped inside, scanning the corners with the precision of someone who'd memorized blueprints. His presence filled the room, the smell of rain and cologne, the hum of tension that always seemed to follow him. "What happened?" "Your name's circulating." She felt her stomach twist. "Circulating where?" "In messages intercepted by Tia, encrypted channels, Cavallo signatures." Emily's throat went dry. "What do they want with me?" "Insurance," he said, meeting her gaze. "Your leverage, and they think I'll bleed for you." She folded her arms. "Would you?" He didn't answer. "Right," she muttered. "So what's the plan? Witness protection? Fake passport? Do I get a cool alias?" Logan's mouth twitched. "You'll stay somewhere safe. My safe house." "Wait, you're what?" "Top floor. Reinforced. Secure entry." She shook her head. "You're serious?" "Deadly. I can't just disappear, Logan. I have a job, a life. You have a target on your back. So do you. What's your excuse?" His eyes hardened. "I chose this. You didn't." "Maybe not," she shot back. "But I'm already in it. You dragged me into this. I saved your life. No, you rerouted it." Silence. A storm between them. Finally, he stepped closer. "Get your coat." Her hands trembled, but she grabbed it. Not because he ordered, because she saw something in his eyes she hadn't before. Fear. Not for himself. For her. The car ride was quiet. Engine hum, city blur, headlights slicing through fog. Emily sat in the passenger seat watching him drive. His jaw was tight, one hand loose on the wheel, the other resting near the holster at his side. "You always carry that?" she asked softly. He didn't look at her. "Only when people are looking for me." "That must be always." He exhaled through his nose, almost a laugh, almost not. After a few blocks, she whispered, "You said my name's in messages. You mean they're talking about me like, what? A bargaining chip?" "They're trying to find pressure points," he said. "They don't know you. That makes you unpredictable. That makes them nervous. And you? What about me? Do I make you nervous?" His hand tightened on the wheel. "Yes." The word landed like thunder. Emily turned to the window, heartbeat climbing. Outside, the skyline gave way to empty streets. The kind of neighborhood that slept with one eye open. Then, without warning, headlights flared behind them. Too bright. Too close. "Logan." "I see it." The car accelerated. The other followed. Adrenaline punched through her chest. "Are they— Hold on!" He took a hard left, tires screaming against wet asphalt. The pursuing car mirrored the turn. Emily grabbed the dashboard. "Tell me this is some kind of training exercise." "Not the kind with certificates." A burst of gunfire shattered the side mirror. Emily screamed, ducking instinctively. "Get down!" Logan barked, cutting across an alley, engine roaring. Bullets pinged off brick. Somewhere behind, a tire burst. The echo faded. Logan swerved into a narrow back street, killed the lights, and braked hard. Silence. Emily's breath came in shudders. Are we alive?" he said, scanning the mirrors. "For now." She lifted her head, trembling. "You call this safe?" He reached into the glove box, pulled out a burner phone, and tapped a single number. "Tia, ghost car, license 6BZ. Yes, find them." Pause. "Understood." He hung up, turned to Emily. You're not going back to your apartment. I gathered that. You're staying where I can control the perimeter. Control or cage? She asked, voice sharp. He met her gaze. Ice against flame. Both. The safe house wasn't what she expected. No marble floors or chandeliers, just concrete, leather, and the hum of security systems woven into every corner. It was a penthouse that felt like a bunker. Logan keyed in a code. You'll be safe here. Emily stepped inside, eyes tracing the clean lines, the untouched kitchen, the panoramic view of a city that didn't care. Safe, she echoed. You keep using that word. He closed the door behind her. You don't like it. I don't like cages. Then don't mistake walls for bars. She turned, anger bubbling. You think locking me up is protection? I think staying alive is a good start. And what about living? He stopped, really looking at her. Living gets you killed in my world. Then maybe it's the wrong world. Their eyes locked. Defiance against duty, fire against frost. Finally, he stepped back. There's a guest room, left hall. Stay inside. Don't open the door for anyone. You make it sound like you're expecting company. I always am. He walked toward the study. Emily watched his back disappear behind the door. For a long moment, the room was silent, the kind of silence that pressed against your ribs. She sank onto the couch, hands still shaking. In the reflection of the window, the skyline shimmered, distant, untouchable. Then her phone buzzed. A text. You're not safe with him. Meet me. Tomorrow. Noon. Pier 47. Her pulse spiked. Ryan. She typed back, fingers trembling. Why should I trust you? Because he's not telling you everything, and neither am I. Her chest tightened. Before she could reply, Logan's reflection appeared behind her in the glass. Who was that? She jumped, locking the screen. No one. He didn't move. You're lying. So are you, she snapped. Every time you say you've got it under control. Something dark flickered in his eyes. Control keeps people alive. Control keeps people alone. Silence stretched. Finally, he said quietly, You think I want this? I don't know what you want, she whispered. I want you out of crosshairs, away from my enemies, away from me. Her heart cracked. So this is the part where you push me away. This is the part where I keep you breathing. By breaking me first? He exhaled, a sound between frustration and confession. You don't understand. Everyone I let close ends up buried under what follows me. Then maybe, she said, voice trembling. What follows you isn't the problem. Maybe it's the fact you never stop running. His jaw clenched. For a long time, neither spoke. Then Logan turned, every inch of him armor again. Get some sleep. He walked out, leaving the echo of his footsteps and the hollow ache of what almost was. Emily sat there staring at the locked screen in her hand. Pier 47. Noon. 2 men, 2 sides of a story. And she was the storm trapped between them. Outside, thunder rolled across the river again, distant but deliberate. Inside, Emily whispered to the empty room, I'm done being the leverage. At dawn, Logan wakes to find Emily gone, and a message left behind. Don't come after me. But when the meeting at Pier 47 turns into an ambush, both past and present collide, and Emily learns what trust costs in the world of men who hide behind power. The sun rose pale and thin over the East River, stretching cold light through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Logan Moretti's safe house. The place was silent, too silent. He'd fallen asleep on the couch, suit jacket thrown across the armrest, a half-empty glass of bourbon sweating beside him. The night had been long, filled with phone calls, contingency plans, and the quiet hum of paranoia. When he woke, something felt wrong. Not the room. That was as sterile and still as ever. But the air itself. A shift. He glanced toward the hallway. The guest room door stood open. Emily? No answer. He moved quickly, scanning the room. The bed was made. The spare phone lay face down on the nightstand. And on the pillow, folded neatly, carefully, was a note. 2 words. Don't come. Logan's jaw tightened. He read it twice, once as a warning, once as a plea. He didn't hesitate. Within seconds, he was dressed, armed, and on the phone. Tia, tracker. A pause, keys clacking. Already on it, Tia said. You're not going to like where she went. Tell me. Pier 47. Noon. Logan closed his eyes. Of course. Send a team. I already did, she said. But if she's walking into what I think she is, she's going to need more than muscle. Emily stood at the edge of Pier 47, the wind biting at her cheeks, the river gnawing at the pilings below. She dressed simply, jeans, jacket, hair tied back, trying to blend in. It didn't work. Her heartbeat gave her away, loud and guilty. She told herself she wasn't running. She was reclaiming control. But deep down, she knew this was a gamble. Ryan had been many things, charming, reckless, unreliable, but not cruel. Not until he vanished. And now, his voice still lingered in her ears. Before he finds out. Before Logan finds out what? The pier was mostly empty. A few gulls, a couple of dockhands unloading crates, and a black car idling in the distance. Then she saw him. Ryan stepped from the shadows, hands raised in a peace offering. He looked older, sharper edges, darker circles under his eyes, the easy grin replaced by something more careful. Em. Her breath hitched. You look alive. He gave a humorless laugh. It's been a full-time job. She crossed her arms. Start talking. Ryan glanced around, lowering his voice. I didn't disappear. I was forced out. Cavallo found out I'd been feeding intel to Moretti's people. I ran before they could bury me. Feeding intel? She echoed. You were a runner. You handled inventory. I was more than that, he said. Moretti's expansion was squeezing the wrong families. Cavallo needed someone inside his network. I thought I could balance it. I was wrong. Emily's pulse pounded. So those duplicate manifests? Mine. I used them to flag Cavallo's shipments. Logan never knew. Then why contact me now? Because your name's on the new ledger. Her stomach dropped. What? They've marked you as an asset, a pressure point. They think you matter to them. And do I? Ryan hesitated. You tell me. Before Emily could answer, a car door slammed behind them. She spun. Two men in dark coats were walking down the pier. Deliberate, synchronized, hands in pockets where weapons lived. Ryan's face drained. They followed me. Great, Emily muttered. You're consistent. Run, he said. But before she could move, another car pulled up. Black, sleek, familiar. Logan stepped out, eyes locked on her. The air snapped tight. What did I tell you? He growled. Not to come, she shot back. And you didn't listen either. Ryan stepped between them. Moretti. Move, Logan said. She's not your property. She's not your problem. Funny, Ryan said bitterly. I was her problem first. A flicker of recognition crossed Logan's face, then understanding, then fury. You, he said. You're R. Yeah, Ryan admitted. The ghost in your machine. Logan's hand twitched toward his holster. Give me one reason. Because you're surrounded, Ryan said quietly. Logan turned and saw them. Two more cars at the far end of the pier. 4 men stepping out, weapons glinting under the pale noon sun. Emily's heart kicked into overdrive. Logan, down! Gunfire erupted, shredding the stillness. Emily ducked behind a stack of crates, Ryan grabbing her arm. Logan drew his weapon, returning fire with lethal precision. Controlled bursts, no hesitation. Bullets pinged off steel. Splinters filled the air. One of Logan's men, Mateo, rushed forward, covering their flank. Another went down with a shout. Move! Logan barked. Cover left! Ryan shoved Emily behind a concrete barrier. Stay here. No, she said, pulling her phone. Tia. Static. Signal's jammed, Ryan warned. Emily peeked around the corner, a man advancing with a shotgun 10 feet away. She snatched a fallen pistol, hands trembling but steady enough. Emily, Ryan started. She fired. One shot. The man dropped. Ryan stared. Since when? Diner got robbed once, she said breathlessly. I learn fast. Logan appeared beside them, eyes scanning. We're leaving, now. He grabbed her wrist, hauling her toward the edge of the pier where a motorboat bobbed against the dock. "Go," he ordered Ryan. Ryan shook his head. "They'll follow." Logan glared. "You owe her. Earn it." Ryan sprinted toward the opposite end, drawing fire away from them. Emily stumbled into the boat, Logan starting the engine. Bullets hissed into the water around them as the motor roared to life. "Hold on!" The boat shot forward, slicing through the current. The city skyline blurred behind them, smoke rising faintly from the pier. Emily clutched the railing, wind tearing at her hair. What now? Logan didn't answer. His jaw was set, eyes fixed on the horizon. Ryan said, "I heard what he said. He was helping you. He was helping himself." "Maybe both," she snapped. He slammed his palm against the wheel. "You could have been killed. And you could have trusted me." The words cracked through the noise like lightning. Silence, just wind and the roar of water. "Finally," he said quietly, "trust gets people buried. Maybe the right people bring you back." He glanced at her, and for the first time she saw it clearly. Fear, not for himself, but for her. Before she could speak, a shadow crossed overhead. Helicopter blades. A camera lens glinted from above. Emily's blood ran cold. "They're filming. Get down." Too late. The spotlight flared, catching them mid-escape, her hand clutching his arm, his gun drawn, smoke curling from the barrel. One photo, 1 second, and 1,000 stories waiting to write themselves. By the time they reached the docks on the Lower East Side, the image was everywhere. Mysterious woman escapes, shootout with notorious businessman. Underworld love story or criminal scandal? Who is Emily Rivera? Her phone buzzed nonstop. Calls from unknown numbers, messages from reporters. A friend from college sent a screenshot with a heart emoji and 3 words. "Girl, you famous." Emily sat on the safe house couch, head in her hands. "Oh my God, I'm viral." "Not for the first time," Tia said from the doorway, tablet glowing. "But this one's got better lighting." Logan stood by the window, hands clasped behind his back. "It's already on national feeds." Tia looked up. "You want me to scrub her socials?" "Too late," he said. "They've archived everything." Emily groaned. "Great. My 5 minutes of fame come with bullet holes." Logan turned, eyes softening. "You're safe here." She laughed bitterly. "That line's losing its punch. You shouldn't have gone alone. You shouldn't have kept me in the dark." He sighed. "I'm trying to protect you." "From what? The truth?" "From me." The words hung heavy, raw. Emily stared at him. "You think I'm scared of you? You should be." She stood, crossing the room. "I've seen you bleed, Logan. You're not a monster." He didn't move, but something shifted behind his eyes. "And what if the monster's the only thing keeping you alive?" "Then maybe I'll take my chances," she whispered. Tia cleared her throat. "Hate to interrupt the existential foreplay, but the internet's already shipping you to." Emily blinked. "What?" Tia turned the tablet. A trending hashtag glared back. Pier 47 couple. "Congratulations," Tia said. "You're officially public property." Emily sank back onto the couch, stunned. "So what now?" Logan's gaze hardened again, armor sliding back into place. "Now, we control the narrative before someone else writes it for us." "Meaning?" "Meaning you're staying by my side," he said. "In public. For now." Emily swallowed. "As what?" He met her eyes. "Whatever they already believe." Her pulse quickened. "You mean?" "Yes." He stepped closer. "My partner." As Emily becomes the face of a viral story, Logan pulls her into the spotlight. A risky gambit to shield her under his name. But not everyone believes the act. Especially not the people planning their next move from the shadows. By morning, the story had broken into a wildfire. News anchors said her name with the cadence of gossip. Talk shows debated her smile, her background, her connection to the city's most enigmatic CEO. "Is it love or leverage?" one host asked. "Both," the co-host replied. and beneath every glossy headline, speculation festered. Emily Rivera, waitress turned executive assistant turned viral mystery. Logan Moretti, billionaire industrialist with rumored mob ties and a gaze that could turn silence into confession. Together, they made perfect tabloid prey. At the Moretti penthouse, the blinds were drawn tight. Security detail doubled, phones wiped, cameras disabled. Emily sat cross-legged on the sofa, scrolling through a storm of articles. They've tracked down my old apartment, my college, even my favorite coffee order. Tia, perched on a stool with two laptops open, didn't look up. They're building the myth. Girl next door meets dark prince. America's eating it up. Logan stood by the window watching the skyline. And Cavallo? Silent, Tia said. Too silent. Logan's jaw flexed. Silence was never peace, not in his world. It was the sound of a gun being loaded off screen. He turned toward Emily. We go public. She blinked. What? If they already believe you're with me, we use it. Appearances, events, interviews. It gives you protection and me leverage. She laughed in disbelief. Leverage? You're talking about my life like it's a business deal. In my world, everything is. She stared at him. And what's my cut, Logan? Survival? He didn't flinch. Freedom. Something in his tone made her pause. He wasn't lying. Whatever game he was playing, it was for both of them. Still, her voice softened. You think turning me into your... whatever this is, will fix it? No, he said, but it'll keep you alive long enough for me to fix it. Before she could argue, the elevator chimed. Marcus entered, Logan's oldest lieutenant. Tailored suit, scar along his jaw, eyes sharp enough to slice glass. He moved with quiet authority, the kind that came from years in the shadows. Boss, he said curtly, we've got a problem. Logan gestured. Talk. Marcus hesitated, glancing toward Emily. It's internal. She stays. Marcus's jaw tightened. One of our warehouses was compromised last night. Surveillance feeds wiped, guards disarmed. Whoever hit it knew the codes, the new ones. Logan's gaze darkened. Inside leak. Has to be. Emily frowned. Could it be Cavallo? Marcus shot her a look that could curdle glass. Cavallo doesn't need our codes. She's asking a question, not making a claim. Logan cut in, his tone cool but edged. We find out who. Tia spun one of her screens toward them. Already working on it. Logs show the breach was remote, not physical. Someone piggybacked off an encrypted device inside this network. Emily's eyes widened. Inside this building? Tia nodded. Maybe even inside this room. Silence. Logan turned to Marcus. Run a sweep. Marcus nodded once, then left. But not before throwing one last look at Emily. It wasn't accusation, not yet. But suspicion had a scent, and it lingered. As soon as the door shut, Emily exhaled. He thinks it's me. Marcus trusts facts, not feelings, Logan said. He'll find what he needs. And if what he finds points to me, then we'll both know who's playing us. By noon, Logan's team was scattered across the city, tracing digital footprints through encrypted channels. Emily tried to focus, to breathe, but every vibration of her phone, every whisper in the hallway, felt like a trap closing. At 3 p.m., she walked into the penthouse study and froze. Marcus stood by the desk, holding a tablet. Her name was on the screen, her login credentials, her digital signature. It came from her account, Marcus said, voice flat. That's impossible, Emily whispered. I don't even know your system. Doesn't matter. The breach was routed through your access. Logan's eyes stayed on her. Calm, assessing, dangerous. She felt her pulse drum in her ears. You don't believe this, do you? He didn't answer right away. That hesitation cut deeper than accusation. Emily, he said slowly, who gave you your phone back yesterday? She blinked. Ryan, he picked it up when I dropped it. Tia swore under her breath. Then he cloned it. Marcus crossed his arms. So your ex set us up, and now Cavallo's got our supply routes. Convenient story. It's not a story, Emily snapped. "He warned me I was being used." Logan's voice sliced through the tension. "Enough." Everyone fell silent. He looked at Emily, eyes unreadable. "Pack a bag." Her heart stuttered. "You're sending me away?" "I'm moving you," he said. "Until we clear this, you don't leave my sight." Tia raised an eyebrow. "That's one way to vet a suspect." "It's the only way," Logan replied. Marcus frowned. "You're risking everything for my call," Logan said sharply. "And my call stands." Marcus backed off, but not happily. Emily wanted to speak, to thank him, to protest, to scream. But all that came out was, "You think I did it." Logan met her gaze. "I think you're in deeper than you realize." That night the storm outside matched the one inside her chest. Rain hammered the glass, wind rattled the frame, and Emily lay awake in the guest room of Logan's personal suite, guarded, locked, silent. She couldn't tell if it was protection or imprisonment. Somewhere down the hall, faint music drifted through the dark, an old jazz track, crackling like static. She followed it quietly, bare feet silent on marble. Logan stood by the balcony doors, shirt sleeves rolled up, collar open, a glass of whiskey in one hand. The city lights carved his silhouette in gold and shadow. "You should be asleep," he said, not turning. "So should you." He glanced at her, eyes softer than his voice. "Can't sleep when I don't know who's aiming at me." "You think it's me?" "I think you're a puzzle. And in my world, puzzles get people killed." Emily stepped closer. "Then solve me." His eyes flicked down. Not with suspicion now, but something deeper, heavier. "Careful, Emily. You don't know what you're asking." "Maybe I do." Silence pressed between them, electric, dangerous, alive. He set the glass down. "You still don't get it, do you?" "Get what?" "You're not just a witness. You're leverage. Every enemy I've ever made will use you to get to me." "Then let them," she whispered, "because I'm done running." The air shifted. Closer now, magnetic. He didn't touch her, but his voice dropped low. "You're either the biggest risk I've ever taken, or the only one worth it." A sharp buzz broke the moment. Tia's voice over the intercom. "Logan, we got eyes on Ryan." His expression hardened instantly. "Where?" "Midtown Warehouse, Sector 5. Emily's pulse quickened. "Let me come." "No." "I can get him to talk." He already talked. Logan grabbed his jacket. "He just doesn't know he's finished." Emily caught his arm. "Please, I can make him trust me." He looked at her, really looked, and something flickered behind his eyes. Doubt, hope, fear. "You want to clear your name?" he asked. She nodded. "Then stay behind me." An hour later, they pulled into the shadowed alley behind the warehouse. Rain slicked the pavement, steam curling from the grates. Tia's voice crackled in Logan's earpiece. "2 guards at the north door, 1 inside. Ryan's in the office." Logan turned to Emily. "Last chance to back out." She tightened her grip on the umbrella. "I'm already in the storm." He smirked faintly. That dangerous, fleeting thing that looked too much like affection. "Then stay close." They slipped through the door like ghosts. The air smelled of dust, oil, and betrayal. Up ahead, Ryan sat at a desk, laptop open, head down. He looked up, startled, then resigned. "I knew you'd come." Logan leveled his gun. "Why?" Ryan sighed. "Because I thought I was saving her. By setting her up. I didn't leak your codes. Cavallo did. I just handed him a ghost trail to follow. Her name was the only one he wouldn't suspect you'd protect." Emily's stomach twisted. "You used me?" Ryan's voice broke. "To keep you alive." Before Logan could respond, a voice echoed from the shadows. "Touching. Truly." Cavallo stepped into the light. Silver hair, smile like a blade. Logan's grip tightened on his weapon. "You picked the wrong war." Cavallo smiled wider. "No, Moretti, I picked the right heart." And behind him, Marcus stepped forward. Gun raised, betrayal slices from the inside as Marcus reveals his allegiance, and Cavallo makes his first real move. Cornered and outnumbered, Logan and Emily must fight their way out, but one of them won't escape unscathed. For a heartbeat, Time stood still. The air inside the warehouse thickened. Oil fumes, rain seeping through broken windows, the faint hum of the city outside. Logan's gun stayed level. His breathing slowed, precise. His mind, trained to dissect chaos, was already calculating exits, angles, odds. But none of those numbers accounted for Marcus. "Put the gun down," Logan said softly. Marcus's eyes didn't waver. "I told you once, loyalty has limits." Emily's heart pounded so hard she thought it might echo. "You're working with him?" Marcus's voice was cold steel. "Working for myself. Cavallo offered something you never could." Logan's voice dropped, dangerous. "And what's that?" "A future." Cavallo chuckled, stepping closer. "You see, Moretti, you raise men to be soldiers, and they grow up wanting to be kings." Rain streaked down the cracked windows, thunder murmuring like distant artillery. "Walk away, Marcus," Logan said. "You don't have to do this." "Oh, I do," Marcus said. "Because you stopped being a leader the day you let her walk into your world." Emily froze. "This was never about power, was it?" Logan asked. Marcus's lip curled. "It was about control, and you lost yours the moment you fell for her." Silence cut through the room like wire. Logan's gun didn't move, neither did his eyes. "You're wrong," he said. "She made me see what power's worth." Marcus laughed once, humorless. "And now it's going to cost you everything." Cavallo clapped slowly, touching. "Truly, but we're done here." He nodded toward Marcus. "End it." Marcus's finger twitched on the trigger. Emily acted first. With a flash of instinct, not training, she grabbed the nearest object, a rusted metal pipe, and swung. The sound rang sharp as a bell. The shot went wide, shattering a hanging light. Sparks rained down. Logan dove, firing. Chaos erupted. Ryan tackled Marcus from behind, knocking the gun loose. Cavallo ducked behind a crate, drawing his own weapon. "Emily, move!" Logan barked. She scrambled toward cover as bullets ripped through wood and concrete. Ryan and Marcus wrestled, a brutal blur of fists and fury. "You always were his shadow," Ryan spat, grappling for the gun. "And you were always his mistake," Marcus hissed, driving an elbow into his ribs. Logan leaned from behind a support beam, eyes locked on Cavallo's silhouette. He squeezed the trigger, missed by inches. Cavallo fired back, grazing Logan's shoulder. He grunted, spinning behind cover. Blood bloomed through his shirt. "Logan!" Emily screamed. "I'm fine," he lied. Ryan gained the upper hand, slamming Marcus into a pillar. The gun clattered away, landing near Emily's feet. Her hands shook, but she picked it up. Marcus saw her, eyes narrowing. "You won't do it." She leveled the barrel at his chest. "Try me." For a moment he hesitated, and that was enough. Ryan surged forward, pinning him down. "Logan!" Tia's voice crackled in his earpiece. "Backup's 3 minutes out. You need to move now." "Too late," Logan muttered, pressing his wound. Cavallo stepped from behind the crates, smirking. 3 minutes is forever when you're bleeding." He aimed, not at Logan, but at Emily. Logan saw it, the barrel shifting, the finger tightening, and instinct took over. "Emily!" He lunged, tackling her to the ground just as Cavallo fired. The bullet tore through the air, slicing past her ear. Ryan grabbed Marcus's fallen knife and hurled it. It struck Cavallo's gun arm, deep enough to send the weapon clattering. Logan rolled, fired twice. One hit the floor. The second, Cavallo's leg. The mobster fell, snarling. "You think this ends here?" Logan stood, gun trained on him. "It ends when you stop breathing." But before he could pull the trigger, Marcus, bleeding, half-conscious, grabbed Ryan's pistol from the ground. One shot. Ryan staggered. Another. He collapsed. "Ryan!" Emily screamed, crawling toward him. Marcus grinned through the blood on his lips. "Always the hero, huh?" Logan turned and fired. The blast echoed, final. Marcus fell, eyes glassy, gun slipping from his grasp. Cavallo was gone. Only smoke, rain, and silence remained. Emily cradled Ryan, tears streaking her face. "Stay with me, please." He coughed, blood staining his teeth. Guess I saved you after all. Don't talk like that, she begged. He smiled weakly. Tell him. It wasn't you. Ryan. His eyes drifted shut. His hand went still. Logan knelt beside them, jaw clenched, expression unreadable. Emily looked up, voice breaking. He wasn't lying. He was trying to fix it. I know, Logan said quietly, but he still bled for my war. Sirens wailed in the distance. Blue light flickered against the walls. Tia's voice. SWAT's at the door. You've got 30 seconds. Logan grabbed Emily's arm. We move. Now. She didn't resist, just stared once more at Ryan's still form before following him out into the storm. They reached the car in silence, rain masking the sound of grief. Emily sat in the passenger seat, trembling, her hands still stained with gunpowder. Logan drove with one arm, the other pressed against his shoulder wound. You saved me, she whispered. He didn't look at her. Not enough. Ryan. He made his choice. She turned to him. And you? You'd have taken that bullet. He didn't answer. Why? She pressed. Finally, he said, because you make me forget what I am. Her throat tightened. And what are you? He glanced at her, eyes dark, wet with stormlight. A man who's lost too many chances. The car rolled to a stop at a red light. For a second, they just sat, the city moving around them, oblivious. Then Emily reached across, her fingers brushing his hand. You haven't lost this one. He looked down, her hand small, warm against his bloodied knuckles, and something inside him cracked. But before he could speak, his phone buzzed. Tia again. We've got bigger problems. Cavallo didn't come alone. That warehouse? It wasn't a hit. It was a diversion. Logan's pulse spiked. What's the target? The Midtown front office. The vault. Emily froze. That's every file, every ledger, every name. Tia's voice sharpened. He's burning your empire down, Logan. One floor at a time. Logan slammed the wheel. Not tonight. He floored it. Tires screeched, engine roared, city lights blurred. Emily grabbed the dash. You're bleeding out. I'm not losing another life today. Logan. But the look on his face silenced her. Determined, desperate, dangerous. She swallowed hard, staring at the city ahead, and wondered which one of them would still be standing when dawn came. They reached Midtown to find smoke pouring from the high-rise. Sirens screamed, crowds gathered. Flames licked the edges of the building's facade. Security scrambled. Logan's men were already forming a perimeter, shouting orders into radios. Report, he barked. Firebombed. 2 detonations. No casualties yet. Vault? Sealed, for now. He exhaled, pain flickering across his face. Tia, cut power to floors 12 through 20. Marcus's failsafe may still be active. Emily turned toward the chaos, the reflection of fire in the glass, the sound of a city holding its breath. This is war, she whispered. It always was, Logan said. He reached into his coat, pulled out a flash drive, and pressed it into her palm. If I don't make it back out, find Tia. Give her this. She stared at it. Don't you dare talk like that. Emily, no, you're not dying in a fire you didn't start. He smirked faintly. Then I guess you're coming with me. Before she could argue, he grabbed her hand and led her toward the entrance. Smoke curled through the revolving doors. Alarms wailed overhead. The heat pressed close, suffocating. Inside, flames painted the marble red and gold, a hellish crown on a crumbling empire. Logan's world, burning before his eyes. He squeezed Emily's hand. If we walk out of here, nothing's the same. She met his gaze. Then let's make sure we do. And together, they disappeared into the smoke. As the fire consumes Logan's empire, Emily must navigate smoke, chaos, and enemies hidden in the blaze. But survival has a price, and the flames won't burn away the truth waiting in the ashes. Flames licked the marble walls like angry tongues, swallowing gold trim and mirrored glass in hungry waves. Smoke rolled low across the floor, curling around their ankles as Logan and Emily pressed forward through the main lobby of the Moretti Tower. His empire, his legacy, now burning. The sound of alarms howled through the halls. Somewhere above, glass shattered. Somewhere below, steel groaned. Emily's throat burned. "We need masks." Logan tore a strip from his sleeve, pressed it over her mouth. "Stay low. Follow me." She nodded, eyes watering. The heat was unbearable. A living, breathing thing that chased them down every corridor. They passed overturned desks, flickering screens, and the faint outline of the Moretti crest, now blackened, peeling, unrecognizable. "This isn't random," Logan said, scanning the flames. "It's surgical." They knew where to hit. "Then Cavallo's still here. Or someone worse." They turned a corner and froze. A body lay slumped against the wall. One of Logan's men, still clutching his weapon, eyes open but glassy. Emily covered her mouth. "Oh, God." Logan knelt beside him, closing the man's eyes gently. His jaw tightened. He died holding the line. He rose, every step heavier. "We keep moving." They pushed deeper into the inferno, through the executive wing, where smoke danced in spirals and the glow of the fire painted everything in shades of crimson and gold. Emily stumbled once, her foot catching on debris. Logan caught her, pulling her upright with a steady hand. "Easy." She coughed, voice hoarse. "Why save this place? It's all burning." "Because there's something worth saving," he said, glancing down at the flash drive in her pocket. "And because I built it on blood, I'll be damned if it ends in smoke." Another explosion rocked the floor. Ceiling tiles rained down like hail. They ducked, coughing, covering their heads. When the dust cleared, the path ahead had split. One corridor leading right toward the vault, the other left toward the control room. "Which way?" Emily asked. Logan hesitated. "Vault first. The data's there." "And Cavallo?" "Where the money is." He drew his gun, checking the chamber. "Stay behind me." She followed, heart hammering, heat clawing at her lungs. As they neared the vault, the smoke thinned, replaced by the cold gleam of reinforced steel. The door stood ajar. Logan froze. "That's impossible." He approached slowly, weapon raised. The vault door, 3 feet thick, hung open like a wounded beast. Inside, rows of safe boxes lined the walls. Some were still sealed. Others, pried open, contents gone. And at the center of the room, under the flicker of emergency lights, stood a man in a charcoal suit. Cavallo. He turned as they entered, his smile sharp as a switchblade. "Welcome home, Moretti." Logan leveled his gun. "You're standing in my grave." "No," Cavallo said. "In hers." Emily stiffened. "What?" Cavallo stepped aside, revealing a small metal case on the table, open, its contents glinting. A thick file, a photograph. Logan's eyes narrowed. "What is that?" Cavallo smiled wider. "Your past, her truth." He tossed the photo onto the floor. It slid toward Emily's feet. She bent down, picked it up, and froze. Her breath hitched, her hands trembled. It was a photo of her mother, younger, smiling, standing beside a man, Logan's father. Emily's voice broke. "No!" Cavallo's voice was silk wrapped in venom. "They built an empire together, your parents. Before Moretti Sr. betrayed her, buried you." Logan's grip faltered. "That's a lie." "Is it?" Cavallo tossed the file onto the table. "Her birth certificate, records, bank accounts under your father's name. You think fate just threw her into your car? No, this was blood calling blood." Emily's pulse roared in her ears. "You're saying your father funded the Rivera name," Cavallo said, "and when she fell in love with someone else, he erased her, moved her off the map. You were born under another roof, another name, but you're a Moretti by blood." Logan shook his head, backing away. "No, that's impossible." But his eyes betrayed him. A flicker of doubt, of memory. He'd seen that smile before, in a faded photograph. In his father's office, hidden in a drawer he was never meant to open. Emily dropped the photo, voice trembling. Tell me he's lying. Logan couldn't speak. Tell me. The silence broke her. Cavallo's grin widened. See? He didn't just take you in. He took what's his. Logan snapped back to life, fury igniting. You think you can break us with paper? I don't need to, Cavallo said. You'll do it yourselves. He lifted a detonator, thumb hovering over the trigger. This building's wired to burn. I came for the file, not the survivors. Logan fired. Cavallo dove behind the vault door. The bullet struck the detonator. Sparks, smoke, chaos. Run! Logan shouted. Flames burst through the ceiling as the blast ripped the corridor apart. Emily stumbled, blinded by light, heat, and ringing in her ears. Logan grabbed her, shielding her as debris fell like rain. They hit the ground hard. When the smoke cleared, the vault was half collapsed. Cavallo was gone. Emily coughed, pushing herself up. We have to get out. She froze. Logan was still on the ground, eyes half open, blood spreading across his side. Logan! He groaned, trying to push up. Go! No! She slid her arms under him, heaving. You're not dying here. He smiled faintly. I told you. Fire can't kill what's already burned. She tightened her grip. Save the poetry. Move. Step by step, she dragged him through the smoke, past fallen beams, shattered glass, the groan of collapsing walls. Outside, faint voices, Tia shouting orders, sirens wailing. Almost there, Emily gasped. Logan's weight was crushing, but she refused to stop. Then, a final crash. The floor gave way. They tumbled down a short flight, landing hard on the mezzanine below. Pain shot up her arm. Logan slumped beside her, coughing blood. Stay with me, she begged. He reached for her hand, his fingers trembling. You shouldn't be here. Neither should you. Above them, the ceiling cracked. Emily looked around desperately. There, a service elevator shaft, open, ladder intact. She pulled him toward it. Come on. I can't. Yes, you can. He stared at her, eyes soft despite the pain. You really are a Moretti. She shook her head. I'm not. By blood or fate. You're mine. Tears blurred her vision. Then fight for it. He gritted his teeth, pushed himself upright, one arm hooked around her shoulders. Together they stumbled to the ladder. Hand over hand, breath by breath, they climbed. The metal burned their palms. The heat pressed closer, screaming around them. Halfway up, the shaft below erupted in flame. Emily gasped, nearly losing her grip. Don't look down, Logan rasped. She didn't. She looked up, toward the faint square of light above, toward survival. At last, they reached the top. Tia's face appeared through the smoke, hand extended. Got you. With a final heave, she pulled Emily up, then Logan. They collapsed on the rooftop, gasping, coughing, alive. The night air was cold, the stars drowned by smoke. Below, the building groaned, collapsing inward. Emily lay beside him, her chest heaving. It's gone. Logan turned his head, eyes glassy. So's he, for now. Tia knelt, pressing gauze to his wound. We need to move. EMS is 5 blocks out. Emily's hands shook. He needs a hospital. No hospitals, Logan said weakly. Too many questions. Tia glanced at Emily. There's a clinic uptown. No names, no records. Emily nodded, tears mixing with soot. As Tia called for the car, Emily looked down at him. You saved me. He smiled faintly. You dragged me out of hell. I think we're even. She brushed a soot-streaked curl from his forehead. We're not done. Not yet. He closed his eyes. The sirens wailed closer. The fire raged below. And somewhere in the smoke, unseen, a figure watched. Cavallo, clutching his burned arm, whispering into a phone. Plan B. The bloodlines confirmed. In the quiet aftermath of fire, Emily faces a truth she can't unlearn, and a man she might lose. As Logan fights for his life in hiding, Cavallo sets his final trap, one that turns Emily's past into the weapon that could end them both. The city had never felt so still. From the rooftop of the safe house, Emily watched dawn unfold. pale light bleeding through the smoke still curling over Midtown. Sirens echoed faintly, their cries fading like ghosts retreating into morning. She wrapped Logan's coat tighter around her shoulders. The scent of smoke clung to the fabric, threaded with something warmer, cedar and whiskey, the trace of him. He was alive. That was all that mattered. At least that's what she told herself. But inside, her mind replayed Cavallo's words like broken glass. Your blood, his name, Moretti by birth. She couldn't escape it. The photo, the records, the look in Logan's eyes, not shock, but recognition. If it were true, everything changed. She pressed her palms to the railing, cold metal biting her skin. "Who am I?" she whispered. Behind her, the door creaked. Tia stepped out, a steaming mug in hand. "You've been up all night." "I couldn't sleep." "Yeah, fire and revelations tend to kill ream cycles." Emily forced a laugh, then sighed. "How is he?" Tia handed her the mug. "Stable, stubborn, refusing to rest." "Sounds like him." Tia leaned against the wall. "He took a bullet and a building collapse. You pulled him out. That's not luck, that's loyalty." Emily stared at the horizon. "What if I'm the reason this happened? You didn't light that match." "Maybe not, but I was the spark." Tia studied her. "You really believe Cavallo?" "I don't know." Emily's voice cracked, but Logan didn't deny it. Tia sighed. "If it's true, it doesn't make you his enemy. It makes you his unfinished chapter." Emily frowned. "What do you mean?" Moretti Sr.'s empire wasn't just built on violence. It was built on betrayal. Logan's been cleaning up the mess ever since. Cavallo wants to use you as proof that his bloodline's tainted. To him, you're leverage. To Logan. To Logan? You're something he doesn't know how to fight for. The door behind them opened again. Logan stepped out slowly, arm wrapped in bandages, color pale but eyes clear. "You two talking about me again?" Tia smirked. "Only your tragic hero complex." "Then it's a short conversation," he said dryly. Emily turned. "You shouldn't be up." He shrugged. "The city doesn't stop bleeding just because I do." Tia rolled her eyes. "You're impossible. And yet you're still here. Because someone has to babysit you." She squeezed his good shoulder gently, then glanced at Emily. "I'll get supplies. Don't let him pretend he's fine." As Tia disappeared inside, silence settled. Emily stared at him. "You knew." Logan's jaw tightened. "I suspected." "For how long?" "Since I saw you that first night." Her breath caught. "The night I got into your car." He nodded slowly. "You looked like her. Your mother. There was a photo, hidden in my father's office. I didn't understand until Cavallo said her name." "So you knew who I was. You knew and said nothing." "I didn't know who you were, just that you didn't belong in the crossfire. I tried to keep you out, but the city pulled you in anyway." Emily stepped closer, voice trembling. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I didn't want to see that look on your face." "What look?" "The one that says you wish you'd never met me." Tears burned her eyes. "You're wrong." He looked away. "Am I?" She swallowed hard. "So what am I to you now? A stranger? A mistake?" Logan's eyes found hers, raw, unguarded. "You're the only thing that ever made sense." The words hit her harder than the fire, the fear, the truth. She wanted to believe him, but belief was dangerous. "What if Cavallo's right?" she whispered. "What if my name's built on the same blood you've been fighting to escape? Then we change what it means." She blinked. "You can't rewrite blood." "No," he said quietly. "But you can redeem it." Their eyes locked, two souls standing on the edge of something bigger than either could control. Then Tia's voice cut through the quiet, sharp and urgent. "We've got movement." They turned. Tia hurried out, tablet in hand. Cavallo's signal pinged on the east side docks. Same warehouse district as the first ambush. Logan's expression hardened. "He's cleaning house." Tia nodded. "Or setting a trap." Emily stepped forward. "Then we walk into it before he closes it." Tia raised an eyebrow. You're volunteering for suicide missions now? Emily's voice was steady. If I'm part of his plan, I'm ending it. Logan frowned. Absolutely not. You need me, she said. He wants me. That's leverage. He shook his head. You're not bait. Maybe not. But I'm the only one he'll let close. Logan exhaled slowly, torn between instinct and faith. If anything happens to you, it already did, she said softly. The day I got in your car. That drew a faint smile, half pain, half pride. Tia looked between them. If you're doing this, you'll need eyes, cover, and exit routes. I'll handle logistics. Logan nodded. We go in at dusk. Hours later, the docks were cloaked in fog and shadow. Emily adjusted the wire beneath her jacket. Her pulse was steady, surprisingly so. Maybe because fear was a luxury she no longer had. Logan stood beside her, dressed in black, every movement measured. The calm before the war. You sure about this? He asked quietly. No, she said, but I'm sure about you. He studied her face, the smoke stains still faint on her skin, the determination in her eyes. You're not the same woman I picked up that night. No, she said. She thought her life was ordinary. And now? She knows it never was. He reached up, brushing a strand of hair from her cheek. When this ends. She caught his hand. We start again. For a moment the world shrank. Just their breath, their hearts, the space between. Then Tia's voice crackled through the calm. Position set. 3 guards outside, 2 inside. Thermal scan shows 6 heat signatures in the main hangar. Cavallo? Logan asked. One matches his size and gait. He looked at Emily. Last chance. She smirked faintly. You really think I'd run now? He almost smiled. No, I think you'd fight. Then let's finish it. They moved, silent, swift, slipping through the fog like ghosts. The hangar loomed ahead, massive and half-lit. Inside, shadows stretched long across the concrete. Cavallo stood near a cargo crate, flanked by 2 men. His arm was bandaged, but his smirk remained. You came, he said. Emily stepped forward. You wanted me. I wanted a legacy, Cavallo said, and now I have one. He nodded toward the crate. Inside, everything your father built, every name, every account, every debt. The future, if you choose to claim it. I'm not him. No, Cavallo said. You're better. You've got his blood and her heart. You could rule this city if you stopped pretending to be innocent. Emily's voice was steady. Innocence isn't weakness. Neither is power. He glanced at Logan. You of all people should know that. Logan's voice was ice. Power without mercy is rot. Cavallo's eyes gleamed. And mercy without power is death. You think you've redeemed the name Moretti? You've just repainted it. Emily stepped closer. You burned my life to make a point, so make it. Cavallo smirked. I already did. A red light blinked on the crate. Logan's eyes widened. Get down! The explosion tore through the air. Light, heat, sound. A second sun igniting the night. Emily hit the floor, the blast wave knocking the breath from her lungs. Debris rained down, smoke filling the air. Logan's arm shielded her, body pressed over hers. When the roar faded, Cavallo was gone. Only echoes. And fire. Again, Tia's voice screamed through the calm. Talk to me! Are you alive? Logan coughed, pulling Emily up. We're clear. Cavallo's gone. Emily stared at the smoking crater where the crate had been. He destroyed it all. Logan shook his head. Not all. He reached into his coat, pulled out the flash drive. You still have this. She looked at it, small, silver, fragile, the last thread of truth. Then this ends tonight, she said. They escaped into the fog, flames reflecting in their eyes, the weight of what was lost heavy in their hands. As they reached the car, Logan turned to her. Once we expose Cavallo, this ends. Emily nodded slowly. And if the truth destroys us? He met her gaze. Then at least it sets us free. She slid into the car beside him, clutching the flash drive. Let's finish what we started. The engine roared to life. The city lights flickered ahead, and somewhere in the fog, a shadow watched. Cavallo, bleeding, smiling. Let them come, he whispered. Blood always finds its way home. As dawn breaks over a city rebuilt on ashes, Emily and Logan prepare for their final stand. The truth is no longer a secret. It's a weapon. In a world where love was born from a lie, can it survive the cost of redemption? The city was quiet again. Too quiet. From the safe house window, Emily watched the skyline shimmer under the first light of dawn. Smoke still curled from the distant docks, the remnants of Cavallo's last game. In her hand, the flash drive gleamed faintly, cold and heavy as a heartbeat. Inside it lay everything: the ledgers, the accounts, the names. The proof of Cavallo's rot. The skeleton of the Moretti Empire, both its sins and its salvation. Behind her, Logan's reflection moved closer in the glass. His arm was still bandaged, his eyes shadowed but steady. "You're sure you want to do this?" he asked quietly. Emily turned. "You built your empire in silence. I'm ending it in daylight." He searched her face, the way he always did when words weren't enough. "They'll come for you. They already have." He almost smiled, weary, proud. "You don't flinch anymore. I learned from the best." He reached out, brushing his fingers over hers. "This isn't your fight." She shook her head. "It is now. You said once that trust gets people buried." His hand tightened. "And you're proving me wrong." They stood like that for a moment, two souls forged in smoke, finding something whole in the ruin. Tia's voice broke the silence. "Press conference is set. Midtown Plaza. Media's already circling." Logan exhaled. "Once you step on that stage, there's no going back." Emily lifted the drive. "That's the point." By noon, the plaza was packed, cameras flashing, microphones angled, a wall of voices humming like static. Reporters shouted questions, hands raised like hungry flames. Who is Emily Rivera? Is Logan Moretti guilty of racketeering? Is the empire falling? Logan stood just off stage, flanked by security. Tia monitored the feeds from a van nearby. Emily stepped up to the podium. The crowd quieted. She took a breath, eyes sweeping across the sea of faces, curious, judgmental, expectant. "My name," she began, voice steady, "is Emily Rivera. At least that's the name I grew up with, the name I built my life on, the one I thought was mine." She paused, fingers brushing the flash drive in her pocket. "But the truth is, I'm also something else. A name buried by greed, a secret kept by men who thought blood was a weapon. My mother loved a man who built an empire and paid for it with her life. That man was the father of Logan Moretti." A ripple swept the crowd. Shock, disbelief, curiosity sharpened into hunger. Emily continued. "Cavallo, a man who profited from every drop of that blood, tried to use this truth to destroy us, to prove that power can't be redeemed, that names don't change." Her voice rose. He was wrong. Cameras flashed brighter. She drew out the flash drive, holding it high. "This is every name, every debt, every account Cavallo ever touched, every thread he used to choke this city. Today it goes to the FBI. The Moretti name will stand, not for fear, but for accountability." Applause broke out, hesitant at first, then growing, rising into a wave. Logan stepped forward, standing beside her. Reporters shouted again. "Mr. Moretti, is it true? Are you retiring? What happens to your empire?" He faced the crowd, voice calm, low, unflinching. "What happens to it? It burns, and from the ashes something better grows." He turned to Emily. "She's the one to build it." Her eyes widened. "Logan?" He smiled faintly. "I spent my life carrying a name that didn't belong to me. You earned yours." Tears stung her eyes. "We earned it." For a moment everything else faded. The noise, the flashes, the chaos, until it was just them. The man who'd built an empire out of darkness. The woman who'd taught him how to stand in the light. The crowd roared again, flashes blinding, but Emily only saw him, Logan leaned close, voice just for her. "You were never my weakness, and you were never my cage," she whispered back. They didn't kiss. Not yet. This wasn't a fairy tale. This was rebirth. They turned together, stepping down from the podium as agents moved in to take the evidence, as the press swarmed, as history shifted. For the first time, Logan Moretti didn't hide his face, and Emily Rivera didn't hide her name. That night, the city breathed differently. From the balcony of their new penthouse, one overlooking the river far from the smoke, Emily stood beside him, watching lights dance on the water. The chaos had quieted. The files were gone. Cavallo was in custody. But peace, she realized, wasn't silence. It was choice. "Do you ever think about what's next?" she asked softly. Logan slipped his hand into hers. "Every time I look at you." She smiled. "That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got." They fell into a comfortable hush, the kind born not from absence, but understanding. Below, the city moved on, rebuilding, rewriting, remembering. Emily turned toward him. "You think they'll ever forget who we were?" He shook his head. "I don't want them to. I just want them to see who we became." She rested her head against his shoulder. "Emily Moretti. That sounds strange." He smiled. "Not to me." She laughed softly. "We're not married." "Not yet." Her breath caught. "Is that a proposal?" He looked at her, eyes warm, steady. "It's a promise." The wind stirred her hair. The city lights reflected in his eyes. For once, they didn't need to run, didn't need to fight. They had walked through fire and come out whole. Two hearts forged in truth. Two names, reclaimed. One love, unstoppable. Emily closed her eyes, whispering into the wind. "We made it." Logan pressed a kiss to her forehead. "We earned it." And as the river carried the city's reflection into the night, the past finally let go. Some stories aren't about escaping the dark. They're about learning to build light from it. If you enjoy stories like this, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. That's how I'll know you truly liked it. Even if you're watching on your TV, grab a second to join this family of fans who love emotional and heartfelt stories. Your support means everything, and it helps us bring you even more tales like this one.